Hey, it's Never the Chess here. A little bit of a different video. What I'm doing is looking at a game between two players. I don't even know which one's which that was posted on Reddit. Just ask if people would have a look at the game, really. So I just thought I'd have a look, just see if I can learn some things or share any sort of insights or advice that I see. I can see the players are both rated about 600 or so, lower than me. So maybe I've got something to share. So let's get into it. Again, I don't know which side is actually the Reddit poster. I don't know if they're white or black. We'll just look at it from White's perspective, but I'll make comments just based on what I see for both sides. So we'll get into it. So it's a Queen's Pawn opening. Okay, looks like we're into an accelerated London system. We got the bishop to F4s came out. We've got the knight to C6, which is that's fine. Everything's fine so far. D3 standard, E3 standard move there. D6 pretty standard. Looks like they're both going into this sort of London styled system, except for that one, knight F6. It's a little different. Usually you might want no, that's fine actually. That's fine, that's okay. I was just looking at it, that's all. Now, okay, White's almost got their entire London system set up. I think from here what they'll want to do is get the bishop to here, and then I should say bishop to E3, and then get the knight onto D2. You can usually get the queen onto E2 or C2 as well from there. Okay, so Black's just put their knight straight into the middle of the board, and that's actually not a fantastic move. The engine says it's excellent, but it just puts the knight into danger. It is in a good spot, generally, but this early in the game, I feel like it's a little risky. It's a little risky. But this bishop move actually wasn't ideal here. The bishop move there isn't ideal. The reason that's not ideal is you're not really threatening this knight. White doesn't actually have a threat on this knight. If White was to take this knight, this pawn comes down and I'll just do it. Well, there'd have to be some other move first. Let's just say that they develop the bishop. So if you were to take this and then take this, now you have to move your knight from this location because you're actually hit there. You lose your advantage. Whereas before you did the bishop move, White was actually up a half a center point advantage. So it's just it's kind of a useless developing move, in my opinion. It's not the best developing move. Better moves might be to push H3, because then you prevent this bishop from coming down to here to try and do any sort of funny business on your knight. It prevents any knights from coming here in the future as well. And also, in advance, it creates an escape square for your king should you castle kingside too. So just so you never get back rank mated. I think H3 would be a better idea there. So anyway, we get bishop to D3, bishop D6, castling, perfect, actually very good. Castling from back, also very good move, very good. Knight D to B2, knight B D2, I mean, that's very good. So now the London system is almost complete. You just have to get the queen involved somehow. Okay. Black's going on the offense and just jump straight in on the other knight. That is premature. They've just given up a knight that was on a good spot. It could have been a very useful spot, but they've just given it up, and they've actually just given White quite the advantage there. So you just take it with the queen. Very good. Now your queen's developed. It just gives you a reason. See, I don't like that move. Yeah, it's an even trade. It's a knight for knight, but it helps White develop. So when Black jumps in here, White is able to play their queen move with tempo, and now the rooks are connected. It's just not a good move. It just helps White develop. Like, why would you help the other guy out? F5 is an interesting move. F5 is an interesting move here. Interesting move. So I'm not entirely sure what this does. It controls these squares. Does control these squares, but you can't really put anything on this one because it's already protected by this. It does stop you from being able to push this, but that was already stopped anyway, so maybe that's not really... I don't know. It's an interesting move, and generally I'd think that it should probably get punished because Black's moving a pawn that's in front of their king. But in this position, it looks okay. It doesn't look too bad. It doesn't look like too bad a move. So we'll just have a look. Bishop to G5. Okay. I don't really like this move. Actually, I don't really like this move. I play this same sort of thing quite a bit. You know that the bishop is protected by the knight. The knight protects the bishop here. So you're attacking the queen. But it never works out, and it's always so easy to stop. They can just play bishop here to stop it. it just feels like it doesn't work. They could just move the queen, or just move the queen. It's an empty threat. The engine says it's an excellent move, but I don't actually like it. I think it's an empty threat. It's an empty threat, and it just gets blocked. It just gets blocked by the knight. Blocked by the knight. So how many ways does he have to block? He's got the bishop. He can block it with the knight. He can just move out of the way. There's too many ways to escape. It's not very forcing. He just blocks with the knight, and it's always good. C4. Very good move. Very good move. That is good. Pushes straight up here. Start cracking open the center. I like that. I like that. Black hasn't taken. They've instead gone to kick your bishop. You've retreated the bishop. That's good. They've pushed. Okay, so here's another reason that bishop move doesn't really work. As you can see, now Black has just started expanding onto your king, onto your castled king. So he's safely been able to play H6 and G5, and actually play them as the best moves. So you've just given Black a reason, a way to play the best moves to advance on your own king. It helps the other guy out too much. I don't like it. Doesn't seem like a good move to me. Bishop G3 gets you out of there, but okay, so they've just pushed on you, G4. They could have also pushed here if they wanted, but you could just take there. It's actually not a good move, actually. They just lose their guy. So that's okay. That's all right. Bishop G3. So now look at this position. Like, Black is just getting really up and personal with your king, but on the flip side, their king doesn't have a whole lot of defense around it. But your light square bishop is not able to do anything here. Cannot get in there. Even your knight can't get in. Can't get in. It just can't do anything. And it's not even really safe here if they were to move this knight. It's just, your queen, the white's queen is really passive. So is the black's queen here too, but yeah, so the queen comes here. Knight jumps out to the side, which is a good move. So they've just opened up their knight, which does open up an attack on this, but the bishop's here protecting it, so it's actually not that bad. But knight to c6, I don't actually like knight to c6. I don't like knight c6. What I think is a better move from black might be to just take this. Yeah, see, the engine's a little better with that one. That looks like a better move. I would have just taken. It just looks like a better move is to let's just get the ball rolling. Black's already started pushing up against it. Like, why? This is too passive. This is passive. They've already started an expansion on white's king. So why not just keep going? Just go in. Rook A to C1. Okay, not too bad. There's probably better moves. Rook A to C1. There's probably better moves. Like opening up the position here. But Rook A to C1 isn't bad. The thing is, it's not very threatening either. It's not aimed at the king or the queen. Obviously, you can't get this one aimed at the king, but you could put it on this file. It's very cluttered right now, but you can look to open it up. And it won't stay cluttered for the rest of the game, I wouldn't imagine. So you can have it on the same file as the opponent's queen, or on the same file as the opponent's king, if possible, just so that there's always that threat. The other guy has to be careful. When you put it onto C1, I don't really know what it's threatening. I don't really know what it's doing here. It adds an extra something on here. So this is already protected by the bishop. So if that was to happen, the bishop can take it anyway. And if this was to move out of the way, you can't take this because of this pawn. There's nothing. I don't really know why the rook is on C1 now. I'm not too sure why it's there. Knight to B4. That's an interesting move. I'm guessing he's either targeting one of these two. Otherwise, why is it there? But black actually had better moves here. Black could have just taken you. Black could have just taken there. That would have been a better move rather than jumping in with the knight. They should have just started cracking things open themselves. Ooh, that was... I think I understand what white is trying to do. They're trying to use this rook to see how far they can get. But it's not going to get you too far. It does get stopped. Eventually it'll get stopped by the pawn, and the pawn is protected by the knight in this position. A better option still, you could just take. You could just take. That seems okay. There's just better moves. I can see the idea, but it is noted as an inaccuracy. Knight takes D3, so he's jumped in and taken your bishop, which is protected by the queen. That's fine. But it didn't have to happen. Because you could have actually just you could have just saved. Where are we? You could have just saved your bishop, and then you don't lose the bishop. You can't hit this right now, but you could push a3 and attack it and sort of kick it, or just outright take it if the opponent doesn't play properly. That takes d3. Queen takes. Bishop to e7 is hitting this. It's not particularly threatening. What I'm noticing here is Black's play is quite passive. They've moved they just move pieces out of the way all the time. I can understand this, but why not come and just take? Like, why not just jump in here and take? This pawn isn't going to make it all the way to promotion. It'll just get taken. Just take and open this up. Just open this up, or open this up. You know, you can start. You could. That attack would be really good. I feel like it'd be good anyway. Let's see. Let's actually see if it is even any good. Yeah, bishop takes g3 is best. Okay, so that's just open it. Open the position up. Knight to g6. That's good. I like that move. I like that move a lot. Hits the rook, hits the bishop. I'm not really sure you'd want to sacrifice it, but it's not attacked there. It's definitely not attacked there. So it is. That's a pretty forcing move. That is. I like that one. I like that. I do like knight to g6. Oh, rook f6. Whoa. Why is that came down? I don't like that. That's not the way to That's not the way to deal with the knight. You're just gonna move the knight. You can just move the knight easily. It's just the rooks came down, and when it comes down, it's no longer. I don't like the rook there. I just don't like the rook there. I don't know how to explain it other than I don't really like the rook there. It just doesn't seem very pointless. There's not much purpose. White's just going to move the knight. This rook is never going to actually attack. I can see it moves a piece out of the way and attacks the piece that was threatening it, but there are better moves. You could play you could just move over. You could. Where were we? Let's see if I can get back to where we were. It even says rook f7. The engine actually recommends rook f7 as a better move there. Rook f7, quite a bit better. Rook f7 also, so just in case you jump in there, you can just take it with the rook. Okay. Yeah, so you're going all the way to rook f6. I don't like that. I don't like that. It's just, it doesn't really work. Knight takes c7, so taking the bishop was actually the best move. Okay, that's cool. That's good to see. Queen takes, obviously. Bishop, that's nice. That's nice. Skewered, that's a killer skewer. That is strong. That's a very strong move. That is one strong move. Actually, very good job spotting that. Very good, because this bishop's been here forever. Now that this bishop wasn't there anymore, that trade's no longer a thing. There's no threat about that happening with the bishop coming down and taking you, which would have been the best move for black on multiple occasions. And that piece isn't actually hanging. So, you know, there's no free piece for you to just jump in and get there. That is a very strong move. You should be able to pick up one of those two on your next move, really. I can't see any forcing moves from black that can prevent that. I can't see any way to prevent that. King. Okay. That's interesting. It doesn't address the issue. That doesn't address the issue. You can still just take the rook. But the thing is, if you move the rook, you just take the queen. So the king didn't need to get moved. Any other move would have probably been a better move, because what does the king do here? Nothing. Like, the rook is protected by the queen. If you're going to protect this, just do it with the queen. You don't have to move the rook. It's just a waste of a move. It could have been a better move. There could have been another move there. That's just, I don't understand that. I don't understand that one. That's an interesting move. The engine's recommending bishop to d7. I'm not sure anyone would see that. You know, it develops a piece, gets this rook into the game. So that's maybe a concept to keep in mind. I don't think it's a very obvious move for black to find here, because they have to accept that they are just giving up the rook, which you kind of have to do anyway. Not much choice. But hey, what can you do? There's also queen g7. Which says it's an inaccuracy, but it could create some trouble down here. Depends on how the other guy plays. I don't like the king though. F4. Why not take the rook? Why not take the rook? It says taking the rook's good. Bishop takes f6 is good. Like, why not take the rook? I think at this level, at 400 level, it says the best move is f3. It says the best move here to play is f3. But at this level, just take the rook. Just get the rook off the board. Just take it. Now you got 2 rooks. They got 1 rook. It's just as simple as that. Just take the rook. Most of the time at this level, you want to just take their big pieces. If you get a chance, take them. Take that material. It's a material advantage. You take that, they take you back. You're all good. You're up 2. Up a rook. Okay, so they've en passanted. Probably because they can. To be fair, I'm not sure what else they could do. They could push h5 and keep trying to... I think maybe a better human move. The engine's recommending bishop d7 just to sort of activate this. Maybe push h5 because it just continues the theme of expanding against the king. It's almost like they forgot their idea. This does too, I guess, but it's just easily taken. I wouldn't take it this way because it opens up your king though. Yeah, you would take that with the rook for sure. Yeah, good. Takes it with the rook. Very good. King comes down. I'm not too sure why. I guess he's coming down to try and attack the bishop. Rook. Okay, so king g6 is not good. It says it's an inaccuracy. I'd say it feels like a worse move than an inaccuracy. It exposes your king to danger. I don't like it at all. I don't like it at all. It's a bad move. I don't like that move. That's not a good move. The engine is still recommending to do this, so it still wants black to just develop, get your pieces out. It's also recommending to start developing down the queen side, and another option is push c6 to stop the pawn from advancing. That king move is okay, that's interesting. Rook cf1. In this position, I probably would have put him in check here. Yeah, okay, so it says this is best. Because these blacks just exposed their king. Like, why not? Now, he's under some real pressure. He's got to back off to here or here. There's not even any way to block it. And you can get your other rook involved. You can just take the bloody rook, by the way. Like any of these, throughout all these moves, just take the rook. Just take... The dude's brought his king all the way down. King to h5. He's walking his king down. Like, his king's coming down to just sort of deal with you himself. Because the pieces aren't doing it. Like, he's came down to just show you how to do it in person. Which is not... It's just not. Like, don't do that. Now you can hit here. Well, not there because you get taken. This is such a dangerous position here. It's so dangerous. You can obviously just defend the pawn there. You could even play this and defend it if you wanted. That's just dangerous. That's such... I don't understand king to h5. I don't understand that move. g3 it actually says is a blunder. The reason is you had a chance to really capitalize on that. With rook to g3. Says this here is your best move. Because depending on what the opponent does, he gets mated very quickly. If he was to actually push down here and take, he's mated almost straight away. This is a mate in 2 here. It's a mate in 2. It's a mate in 2. Because you just hit here, he's got one move, and then he's mated there. So he can't take the bishop. He can't actually take that bishop. Taking the bishop is very bad. So, but even that's a little far into the future. You're not going to see. I don't think a lot of people are going to see that if you put your rook here, if they take, you can hit him and then hit him. Yeah, no one's gonna. It's hard to see at this level. I still think this rook should have just been taken. At this level, I'm 100% advocating just to take that rook. And it's been there for so many moves. Look how many moves the thing's been there for. Right here, next move should have taken the rook. Should have taken the rook. Just should have taken the rook. Just should have. So many times here, should have just taken the rook. That rook is just up for grabs. It's worth more material than the bishop. It's way better when the end game comes around. Should have just taken the rook. So instead, what we got was g3, which sort of gives up this very, very strong attack that could have happened. But it's cool. Okay, g3. The reason that's a blunder is because there was such a strong attack with rook to g3. Bishop d7 is excellent. Finally, this bishop gets off the back rank, and now this rook can actually get involved. This rook's probably wanting to come here so they can stare down the king. c6 is an inaccuracy. I can see. No, I don't see the point of this. This just gives away a pawn. There's no need for this move. Still should have taken the rook. I still think you should have just taken the rook. It's not like the engine's best move. It's the second best move called the engine, but it's the most obvious one. Just take the rook. It's the most obvious one. Pushing c6 is just you just lose your pawn. It just gives the other guy your pawn. There's no need for that. It just hangs a piece. Engine says it's an inaccuracy, but the reality is it just hangs a piece for absolutely no reason. They can just take this, and now their rook has this. Their rook's also able to come here. Like, why let them have this free open file for the rook? I don't. And, opponent takes it. Very good. g4 check, it says, is good. It says g4 check is good. I still think rook should have been taken. Apparently, queen to a6 is a good move here. But at this level, who's going to see this? Who's even going to recognize what the threat is here to try and get the rook? I think the most obvious one, the most human one, the one that you should notice at this level, is that rook is worth more points than your bishop. Just take the rook. Take the rook. g4 check. He can just take your bishop here now, but he doesn't. fg4. Yeah, in this position, he's free to take this bishop because there's no checks coming from here. You've blocked the check. So you've blocked your own sort of counter-attack once he takes the bishop here. But, oh well. g4 check. Okay, so I don't like g4 check. Still think take the rook. Always just be taking the rook. F takes g4. I can see why they've played that. Takes a piece, threatens your rook. But now you've got two pieces on this. If you take that, they can't. Well, I guess they could. No, they can't. If you were to take this next turn, they can't take this because then you would just take the queen. This opens themselves up in a really dangerous way. I don't really like this. So here, white should just take the rook. They cannot take it back. It's defended by the bishop. What they can do here is get onto this file, maybe even bring the rook in, and just try some sort of Hail Mary attack. I think that's black's really the best choice here. So they take the bishop. Now it's a mate in two. It's 100% it's a mate in two. Yep, because that's check. King's got one move. And then that is all that she wrote. There's nothing that can be done. Can't get away. Trapped. Nothing can get the queen. King can't go here, here, or here. Because the pawn's protecting here. So is the rook. The rook's covered this whole file. And the rook protects the queen. The black is playing very dangerously. There's been so many. They're in a very dangerous position here. But it wasn't noticed. Rook to f7, looking to attack the queen. I can understand that. We can at least understand that. They move the queen. Okay, so in this position, this is still strong. It's still strong because I wouldn't even bother with the queen here. I think, at a basic level, let's not even bother with the queen here. just attack this king. He's over here. You've got 2 rooks. You've got a queen. Just get him. Just straight up end the game. There's not really any reason you can't just hunt down this king here. Okay, that's not too bad. Brings the rook back. They bring out their rook onto an open file, which accomplishes absolutely nothing and does not save their king. I'm not too sure what that is. It picks up a pawn. I guess it picks up a pawn. But white has, a couple of good responses. That's still strong. That's still such a strong move because of the pressure that you can put on. It's still strong. Like, imagine if you could get there and then get there. Dangerous. Dangerous. It also says queen h7. Let's see that. What's queen h7? Oh, okay, nice. Get up here. It's completely unprotected. You can just take this one and start hitting him up. Very dangerous. Very dangerous. That move accomplishes nothing. I think black needs to just have a think about the moves that they're doing and what they actually accomplish, and recognize that their king is in extreme danger and could have been checkmated multiple times already. They're looking to pick up a pawn. But why? The king is in so much danger here. There's 2 rooks. There's a queen. There's a pawn here sort of exerting extra pressure. The king can even come up and just sort of cut. It's not good. Oh, okay. Queen h7. That's all right. That's good. It's still, technically it says it's a mate in 12. It says it's an inaccuracy, the engine does. But I still think that's a good move. It's still a good move. It's not the best move. It's still very good. What? What? Blacks just put their rook back to where it came from. So the rook was there, moved there, and then it moved back. I can't understand this. I can't understand that move. This is checkmate here now. That's a mate in 1. That if you just take this, that's the end of the game. This is all cut by the queen, and obviously it hits the check. King can't go here, queen. King can't go there because of the pawn. He's blocked in by his own piece, and even if he wasn't, the rook's there. I don't understand that move. I don't think black recognizes how much danger they're in. There's so many ways that white can just end the game. Yeah, there it is. That is the actual end of the game. I just want to make sure that's the real end of the game. It is, okay. So that's cool. What my thoughts were on that is white had multiple chances to attack this king and didn't recognize them. Some of them were a little harder to find. I'm not even sure if I would have found them if I didn't have the assistance of the engine, but there's some really questionable moves from black. Like, what were they doing with this rook? Not identifying that they were in so much danger. Also, black didn't develop. This bishop moved from here to here, and that's all it did all game. Didn't do anything. From white's perspective, white didn't recognize that they could just take the rook that was there for like half the game. This rook was just there up for grabs, 100% just up for grabs. Just take the rook, take the rook, take the rook. It's such a big advantage at this level if you can just pick up a rook. If you can exchange a knight or a bishop for a rook, 100% of the time do it at this level. Well, just make sure you're not about to get mated. Make sure it's not a trap first. But for the most part, you definitely want to be taking the rook. At this 400 level, getting the rooks off the board, having the advantage of just 1 extra rook is huge. They're so important. They're so powerful. Down here at this level, they're the second most powerful piece on the board. You want to take it. You want to take it. There was a few mistakes. Well, more than a few mistakes. There's a lot of mistakes from each side. But the big lessons are understand when your king is in extreme danger. Black could have been mated multiple times. And still didn't, just absolutely nothing to address it. They didn't, it's like they didn't notice that they were in so much danger. They just didn't notice. So look at what checks the opponent actually has. Even here. Let me just see. Let me see what... just bringing the king in. Like, just why is this king even walked down? I can't... right here, when the king moves down, that's just... It says inaccuracy, that's just a blunder, that's just a terrible move. That's dead anyway. It's protected by the queen. Just let it go. Do not bring your king in for this for no reason. Develop your bishop and get your rook out. Need to get into the attack. This move here, I think isn't good because you should just take the rook. That move, I don't fully understand. It just lets the rook come up. But even here, I mean, you could still just take the rook. You need to stop that, I guess, because otherwise your king is exposed. You know, you'd have to take it, and then they can start hitting you. But take this rook. Maybe not on this. Maybe on your next move here. This rook should just not have survived this long. So the king moves in even closer. He can be hit with a check here. He can be hit with a check here. You need to be always looking at what attacks the opponent has. I feel like if the king was hit with a check here, this opponent probably would have moved down here. I swear they would have played that move. And then you just check him again. King's got, you know, his only move is to take here. And then he just, whoa! He doesn't. Not that move. But he just gets wrecked. He just gets wrecked. You can hit him there. It's just like, oof. You know, it's just, why is the king down here? Don't bring your king down like this. Just don't bring your king down. Don't march your king down to try and deal with the problem himself. He's not the guy for it. Come end game, yeah, but this is just not the end game. Like, there's too many pieces on the board. There's still 2 rooks. There's still, you know, each side has 2 rooks, a bishop, and a queen. This is actually a perfectly equal game. But this king is just, the moves are just not good. That's just dangerous. Dangerous. You know, so dangerous, so dangerous. Do not bring the king like this over here. White should identify that just throws away a pawn for no reason. Like, there's literally no reason for that move. Almost any other move you could make would be better. Nearly any other move. Queen b3, bishop takes f6. I still think just take the rook. You know, I don't like that move. It technically says it's the 3rd best move. It just throws the piece away though. It just throws the piece away and lets this rook do what he wants down there. So yeah, those are my thoughts. King safety is absolute paramount. Absolutely paramount. So I just want to go through here. Both sides did castle, right? Yeah, okay. I just had to make sure. King safety is super important. But like, Black just throws it away here. The engine says it's an excellent move, but it opens up your king. King safety, number 1, then control the center. If your king's not safe, you just get mated, and that's the end of the game. Doesn't matter how well you control the center if your king gets mated. Now, they have gone to expand on the king side. I can understand, like, sort of the theme of what they were doing. So to that end, maybe marching the king down sort of made sense in Black's head. Like, okay, look, we're pushing down. Let's get the king coming down here too. But it's just so dangerous when there's 2 rooks, there's a queen, the bishop. White's king is completely safe down here. Very dangerous. Very dangerous. Right here, I don't even know what that is. It's dangerous. Dangerous. And take the rook. White needs to just take the rook. That's enough rambling from me. Hopefully this has helped out a little bit. Maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. This is my first time doing this kind of thing, so you know, we'll see how we go. Thanks for watching.